Hey everybody, welcome to this latest edition of Snow Talk. This is Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good on this Thursday afternoon. I look like Barney today, purple once again. Not sure why that always happens to me. Anyway, we do have a lot to talk about when it comes to the weather for this weekend and the last 10 days of the month. I've been alluding to this for quite some time. The last 10 days of December look much more exciting for storm systems and for snow lovers to boot. We'll get into that in a second. First off, let's talk about the stats as we always do. 3.7 for the year. Look at last year to this point. It's really passing us up. 5.8 already in the books at this point last year. Half inch is where we should be. So at least we have that going in our favor for snow lovers. We're still above normal. On the boards, minor system coming our way as we head into the 20th, or next week looks to be mainly in rain, I should say, first off, Tuesday and Wednesday. The 20th through the 22nd, this one's a tough one. I'll explain on that in a second. 23rd to the 26th, I'm giving that a full bar, as well as the last few days of the year, as two more systems come into play. The reason why they get a full bar is the pattern is much colder during that time than it is at the start of the time. So more iffy around the 20th, 22nd, much more colder, more confident in the latter part. Hey, it's a start. Got to start somewhere. Hey, look at this. Sunshine today. The clouds broke up. Look how they just eroded perfectly from the north and east. Beautiful outside. Southwest winds, 41 degrees. I mean, get outside and turn on the sprinklers. Have some fun. Temperatures. Going to be the big thing here for tonight. We're going to drop again. But here comes some changes for the weekend. Let me start you with the RPM model first. As we end to Friday, not a bad looking day. Partly sunny, mid-40s. Nice looking day. But here's where the change comes in. We've seen this on the NAM model. Now we're seeing on the other models. Here's the NAM model. Look what happens on Saturday. Clouds just kind of overtake the area. Sorry, the image goes bad there at the very end. But the clouds overtake the area, and then it becomes gloomy and cool. Here's the NAM model showing the similar setup. Not too bad as we did tomorrow. And then as we went into Saturday, gloomy skies. And temperatures in the 40s if we're even lucky. So this is not the greatest news when it comes to hopefully having a nice warm weekend. We were saying that the warm air is overdone anyway, but it even looks even more so overdone on Saturday, especially with these trends the past couple of days. Here's the NAM for Louisville, looking at the atmosphere sideways. Here's the ground level. Here's way up here above our heads. And what I'm looking at here is for moisture. First off, you see where these two lines come together. Green is moisture, red is temperature. You can tell we're saturated lower levels. It's a good sign here for a stratus deck. Nimble stratus more than likely in the lower levels of the atmosphere. Now where you saturate, we're still not to the point where it would be frozen precipitation, but some drizzle. Maybe squeezed out some of these clouds. Very dry above, so if you're in an airplane, take it off on Saturday, you'll fly through the cloud deck and then boom, you'll get in the blue sky as you fly over the city of Louisville, so lucky you. Alright, now look at Madison, Indiana. We do have the ability to see data there. And look what it's showing here. Same thing, saturated in lower levels, low cloud deck, but the red line is west of our 0 degree line, even at the surface, which means freezing drizzle. This will be early on Saturday. Not a sure thing. That is something we'll watch, though. Can't rule that out entirely, but it's interesting to see that on the trends on the NAM. And here it is on the GFS. GFS has no precipitation because there's too much of a gap. They're not close together. You got to want these lines close together. There's a gap. So there will be some clouds on Saturday, but it's not as dramatic. And much more of a drier profile overall on Saturday. So GFS still is not on board with the idea of a chilly and gloomy Saturday, but I would not rule that out yet. We'll make our final call coming up today on the evening newscast. After that, lots going on in different areas of the country. First off, we've got to keep an eye on the northern branch features. There is going to be a couple of strong highs, especially around 1034 millibars developing as we head around the 20th. Question for that is how long will it stay here, and how is it going to influence the southern branch features? And again, this has the low pressures that track along it. If this can stay intact off to the north in this area, then these features will likely stay suppressed to the south. A couple may try, depending on where the high is at the time, try to work their way to the north. To be honest with you, you really want that if you want to get a snow situation. You don't want it too extreme, because if you get too extreme, then everything passes this way to the south and we miss out entirely. But you don't want that high to move too far away out of the area, because then what happens is southern stream systems will want to cut northbound. Boy, haven't we seen that before. But they have a higher chance to cut into the Ohio Valley and north and east, and your snow then falls way to the north and west of us. And at least to start, that may happen. And it usually will take one system to do that, via lakes cutter is what we call it, to get a lakes cutter, and then that lakes cutter will then supply the cold air behind it that allows the next one to come in, and then boom, you get a snowstorm. So everything affects, one system affects the other here, and that's how this is going to play out the final 10 days. Let me start you off with the first system that rolls out next week. Showing the GFS here, all of them are pretty similar in the idea of a band of rain. It moves in late Monday night to Tuesday. The system gets sheared out, so the rain falls apart. So nothing heavy, and the cold core stays up here. It does not drop behind the low. So we're not expecting this to change the snow behind the system. It's just rain or nothing. And it should be rain. And it'll pass off to the east. Then we head into the GFS time period for the 20th. Now, the GFS is doing what I just described. You know, it loses the blocking ability here to the north. So what happens is the low wants to trend more northerly, and there's not a lot of cold air to work with, so it's mainly a rain producer, although this is questionable on the northwest side. The upper low portion could be colder than what is shown here in the GFS. GFS is notorious for not picking that out very well. That's the GFS, more of a rain producer for the 20th. Here's the European, just came in a few moments ago. It is moving in, and here's the ability to have some decent blocking here off to the north. It moves the low pressure in, but it's tracking it more north and east. Starts off as rain. This is a warm profile for Kentucky. That is rain. Moderate to heavy snow in St. Louis. So where does it go after that? By next Sunday, it heads more east than north. So the comma head, or the deformation zone, tracks through Kentuckiana with a band of snow. Moderate snow potentially in Ohio Valley. It takes the low more east. Now, I will say this is not a very common track to see a low pressure track in that kind of fashion. It's more likely to try to jog northbound, but it will all depend, again, on what's happening up here to the north will determine how much of an influence this is going to have to try to cut it all or go out to sea. So still give caution to your model trends if you're watching the models, you weather lovers out there. Use some caution when looking at the data because we have not figured this out yet, and mainly because the NAO is not strongly negative. It's hovering in positive territory, but it's trying to trend negative, and such a setup like that would favor more of an easterly and then north jog, which would make things interesting for us, but it's not high enough on the confidence scale to really get us too excited yet. But the setup is there, so got plenty of time to watch it, but it is going to be a system of interest. Then as we head toward Christmas itself, Christmas week, I mean, it's just anywhere you see light blue, that's where the atmosphere is cold enough to have snow. If we have the moisture around, that's the big debate. Will we have moisture? We don't know that for sure, but at least when it comes to the cold air to help us, the ensembles on the Canadian, good signal here for some cold air across the northern half of the country. And look at the GFS for the same period. It's even more dramatic. Now, I know it's a GFS, but these are the ensembles, not the actual main model run itself, you see. So it's good to see the ensembles show this, some very cold air in the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. So based on that, I've made one change to the Christmas outlook. I have raised the potential for this to be a cold day. I still cannot raise the potential on snow or ice or anything like that until I get a better idea of when systems, as far as timing goes, is there going to be one close to us on Christmas Day? And there will be one, but I can't tell if it already passed us or it'll be way to our west still, and it may not arrive here until closer to New Year's. So that's the part of the forecast my confidence is way low on. But the cold air part, confidence is shooting up for that. So that's step one, to get snow. All right, so to sum it all up, gloomy sky potential here on Saturday. We'll fine-tune the numbers up, make the call in the evening news. And then the system next week is rain or nothing. Should be rain, light rain. And then as we get into next weekend, it depends on the track. East, or is it going to cut north? Don't know that yet. Could be a rain to snow kind of deal. That's more likely at this point. And then any system after that is more likely to be more in the frozen form as we head toward Christmas and New Year's. And then what happens after that? Whew, man, it could be one heck of a January if this holds up. All right, there you go. That's it for now. I'll see you guys. I'll be back here on Sunday. So I'll see you on the evening news and then back on Sunday. Have a good one.